Software development makes an invisible man undeniable because it turns private ambition into public evidence. You are not ignored because the world secretly hates you. You are ignored because your value is still too easy to doubt. You can say you are different. You can say you are disciplined. You can say you were built for more. But Machiavelli understood the code rule. Men judge by what they can see. And code makes your invisible work visible. A deployed app, a clean repository, an automation, a case study, a system that solves a real problem, these become receipts your excuses cannot survive. But do not confuse isolation with power. Alone without structure, you become distracted, bitter, and still unseen. Software development is dangerous because it exposes the truth. Your focus can be tested, your skill can be measured, your value can be shipped. Stop asking to be believed. Build proof they can no longer dismiss. Bill Gates and Paul Allen proved this with Altair Basic. Mark Zuckerberg proved it with the Facebook. They were not rewarded because the world understood their private ambition. They were rewarded because they produced something visible enough to change the cost of ignoring them. Gates and Allen did not begin with perfect conditions. They did not even have the machine in front of them. Zuckerberg did not begin with a global empire. He began with a working site that spread across Harvard because people could use it, test it, and see it. That is the first cold law you must understand. The world does not respect your imagined future. It respects evidence. It respects proof. It respects working systems. It respects output that can survive contact with reality. But here is the question most men avoid. Why does software development turn some men into powerful, valuable, impossible to ignore builders, while others spend years watching tutorials, collecting certificates, switching languages, restarting roadmaps, and still remaining invisible? The answer is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not even opportunity. The hidden mechanism is this. Software development rewards the man who converts private effort into public proof, and it punishes the man who keeps his ambition trapped inside his head. Machiavelli wrote that men judge more by the eyes than by the hands. That one line explains your entire problem. People do not respect what they cannot see. Your family cannot see your discipline. Your friends cannot see your late nights. The market cannot see your private suffering. Employers cannot see your imagined potential. Clients cannot see your future version. They see evidence, or they see nothing. And when they see nothing, they treat you like nothing important is there. That is not cruelty. That is the operating system of human judgment. Most unsupported men spend too much energy trying to be understood by people who have no incentive to understand them. They explain their ambition. They defend their choices. They announce their plans. They tell people they are learning. They tell people they are different. They tell people they were built for more. But the world does not update its judgment because you gave it a speech. The world updates its judgment when your output creates pressure. A working application creates pressure. A clean repository creates pressure. A deployed tool creates pressure. A documented case study creates pressure. An automation that saves someone time creates pressure. A dashboard that makes a business clearer creates pressure. A website that converts attention into action creates pressure. An API that connects systems creates pressure. A product that solves a real problem creates pressure. Pressure is what forces reality to answer. If you do not understand this, you will waste years trying to be believed instead of becoming undeniable. You will keep explaining your ambition to people who have no reason to take emotional responsibility for it. You will keep waiting for support from people who only respect results. You will keep mistaking pain for progress. You will keep saying, "I am learning," while your life produces no visible change. And the worst part is this. You will become one of those men with a private identity bigger than his public evidence. Inside, he believes he is capable. Outside, the world sees no proof. Inside, he feels chosen. Outside, the market sees replaceable labor. Inside, he has ambition. Outside, he has unfinished projects, inconsistent execution, and no shipped evidence. That gap creates shame. And if a man does not close that gap with proof, he will eventually close it with excuses. He will say the world is unfair. He will say people did not support him. He will say he did not have the right network. He will say other people were lucky. Some of that may be true. But truth does not remove responsibility. The unsupported man cannot afford to be invisible. He cannot afford to be vague. He cannot afford to be working on something forever. He must turn skill into evidence, evidence into reputation, reputation into leverage, leverage into freedom. This is the entire doctrine behind this video. Isolation must become discipline. Discipline must become skill. Skill must become proof. Proof must become leverage. If you are the kind of man who is tired of pretending that watching more content is the same as building power, stop confusing consumption with progress. You already know your life will not change because you feel inspired for one night. Your real problem is not lack of information. Your real problem is that your ambition has not been forced into visible proof. If you keep learning in private, restarting in private, doubting in private, and hiding your unfinished work in private, you will become another intelligent man with nothing the world can measure. Inside Patreon, you get deeper, unfiltered breakdowns on proof, leverage, discipline, power, and the psychology of becoming impossible to dismiss, so you can stop wandering and start building with structure. This is not for men who want comfort. It is for men who are ready to replace excuses with evidence. The decision is yours. Now look at Bill Gates and Paul Allen. In 1975, they saw the Altair 8800 opportunity. They did not have the machine. They did not have the perfect conditions. According to the Associated Press, they promised MITS. They had software before they had actually created the code, then spent roughly 2 months building the program without even having a prototype of the computer. Understand the pressure. No finished code, no hardware, no guarantee, no comfortable timeline, no audience applauding them for trying. They had made a promise, and now reality demanded proof. This is where weak men collapse. They love the fantasy of pressure until pressure asks for output. They love the identity of being ambitious until ambition requires delivery. They love saying they are built for more until the world asks them to build something that works. Gates and Allen converted pressure into a product. The proof was Altair Basic. The Computer History Museum notes that Paul Allen finished the BASIC program while flying to Albuquerque with Bill Gates to demonstrate it to Ed Roberts at MITS. Do not romanticize this. See the mechanism. They did not ask the world to believe in their potential. They produced a working demonstration. They did not win because conditions were perfect. They won because they created evidence under imperfect conditions. That proof became the seed of Microsoft. Now look at Mark Zuckerberg. Before Facebook became a global empire, it was not a speech. It was not a vision board. It was not a motivational post. It was a working site. Wired reported in 2004 that Zuckerberg's site was up and running at Harvard after about a week of programming, and that with an early pool of around 4,000 students, the Facebook reached about 95% of Harvard's student population as members. Pressure, a closed campus social problem. Action, build the system. First proof, adoption. Power lesson. The market does not care how long you suffered. It cares whether your solution spreads. These men were not rewarded for being misunderstood. They were not rewarded for feeling ignored. They were not rewarded for telling people they had potential. They were rewarded because they built something that changed the cost of ignoring them. That is what the unsupported man must understand. Software development is not merely a career. It is one of the few arenas where a man with no permission can build evidence alone. No committee needs to approve your first project. No family member needs to believe in your repository. No friend needs to validate your deployment. No mentor needs to bless your first automation. You can sit alone, choose a problem, build a system, publish the proof, and force reality to answer. But this is where most men fail. They love the fantasy of software development more than the humiliation of software development. They like imagining themselves as developers. They like saying they are learning Python, JavaScript, artificial intelligence, back-end, front-end, cybersecurity. They like the identity. They like the future image. They like the idea that one day their intelligence will finally be recognized. But when the code breaks, their identity breaks with it. When the bug appears, their discipline disappears. When the project becomes unclear, they return to another tutorial. When deployment becomes uncomfortable, they tell themselves they need more preparation. When the repository looks messy, they hide it. When the user does not understand the product, they blame the user. When feedback exposes weakness, they search for validation somewhere else. They do not want skill. They want the feeling of becoming skilled without the exposure of being tested. And software development has no respect for self-image. The system works, or it does not. The app deploys, or it does not. The API responds, or it does not. The user understands, or he leaves. The repository reveals your discipline, or exposes your chaos. This is why software development is a battlefield for invisible men. It gives you no place to hide. Law 1 is potential, means nothing without proof. Most unsupported men confuse being underestimated with being unproven. This confusion is dangerous because it protects the ego while the life remains unchanged. Being underestimated means the world has evidence and still misreads you. Being unproven means the world has no evidence yet. Do not confuse the two. If you have no shipped work, no visible projects, no case studies, no measurable output, no public proof, and no useful system anyone can touch, you may not be underestimated. You may simply be unproven. That realization hurts. Good. Pain that reveals reality is useful. The unsupported man often carries a private courtroom inside his head. In that courtroom, he has already proven himself. He knows how hard he thinks. He knows what he has survived. He knows the nights he stayed awake. He knows the anger he carries. He knows the future version he can almost see. But the market does not sit inside your private courtroom. The market sees what exists outside your head. This is why potential is such a seductive trap. Potential lets a man feel superior without forcing him to produce. Potential lets him imagine a future verdict without submitting current evidence. Potential lets him remain emotionally important to himself while publicly irrelevant to everyone else. Software development destroys that fantasy because the proof has to work. A calculator either calculates, a scraper either collects data, a dashboard either displays useful information, a landing page either converts attention, an automation either removes friction, a scheduling tool either saves time, a bug fix either repairs the broken system. Private ambition becomes public evidence only when it leaves your head and enters the world. Law 2 is code, is evidence. Every serious project becomes a public receipt of your discipline. A portfolio is not decoration, it is a courtroom. Your GitHub is not just storage, it is testimony. Your case study is not content, It is a weapon against doubt. The man with proof no longer begs to be believed. Think about what a serious project reveals. It reveals whether you can stay with a problem after the excitement dies. It reveals whether you can organize your thinking. It reveals whether you can make trade-offs. It reveals whether you can debug under frustration. It reveals whether you can document your decisions. It reveals whether you can finish without applause. This is why code is more honest than talk. A man can exaggerate his discipline in conversation. He can sound intelligent in a group. He can use impressive language. He can talk about systems, startups, artificial intelligence, automation, and freedom. But a repository shows receipts. A deployed app shows receipts. A user flow shows receipts. A case study shows receipts. Working software turns vague identity into inspectable evidence. And evidence changes how people treat you because evidence reduces doubt. When an employer sees shipped work, he does not have to imagine your ability. When a client sees a case study, he does not have to guess your usefulness. When a collaborator sees your documentation, he does not have to rely on your promises. When the market sees repeated output, it starts connecting your name with reliability. This is where reputation begins. Not in self-explanation, not in desperate networking, not in begging for recognition. Reputation begins when your proof becomes easier to find than your excuses. But code alone is not enough. Evidence hidden in a private folder has almost no power. A man can build quietly for years and still remain unseen if he refuses to make his proof legible. That is why the next law separates disciplined solitude from invisible struggle. Law 3 is isolation becomes an advantage, only with structure. Being alone does not automatically make you powerful. Alone without structure becomes distraction. Alone without standards becomes fantasy. Alone without output becomes self-deception. Many men call themselves isolated when they are actually unstructured. They say they are alone, but their nights disappear into scrolling. They say nobody supports them, but they do not support themselves with a repeatable system. They say they are focused, but their project changes every week. They say they are building, but they cannot show consistent commits, notes, milestones, tests, deployments, or documentation. That is not solitude. That is drift. Structured isolation is different. Structured isolation means 2 hours of deep work when nobody claps. Daily commits even when the work looks ugly. Weekly project milestones that expose whether you are moving or fantasizing. Bug logs that force you to understand your own mistakes. Testing that protects you from arrogance. Deployment that makes the work real. Documentation that makes your thinking visible. Public progress that turns private discipline into external signal. This is how solitude becomes strength. The unsupported man must understand that nobody watching can be either a curse or an advantage. If nobody is watching and you have no structure, you will decay in private. You will negotiate with yourself. You will start late. You will quit early. You will confuse research with progress. You will tell yourself that tomorrow will be different because today still feels emotionally heavy. But if nobody is watching and you have structure, you gain a battlefield most men cannot tolerate. You can build without performing. You can improve without asking permission. You can develop skill while others are busy managing impressions. You can let your proof accumulate quietly until your results become impossible to dismiss. Isolation is not power. Isolation is raw material. Structure is what turns it into power. And once isolation becomes structure, another illusion has to die. Your pain does not make you valuable. Your usefulness does. Law 4 is, the market respects utility, not pain. Your struggle does not make you valuable. Your usefulness does. This is one of the hardest truths for unsupported men because pain can become part of the identity. When no one supported you, when people doubted you, when your family did not understand your ambition, when friends treated your seriousness like a phase, you start believing the suffering itself should count as evidence. But the market does not reward suffering. The market rewards solved problems. Your pain may explain your hunger. It may explain your intensity. It may explain why you cannot tolerate remaining ordinary. But pain is not payment. Pain is not proof. Pain is not leverage. Pain is raw material. The weak man romanticizes his pain. The builder converts it. Can you automate a painful process? Can you build a dashboard that saves time? Can you create a website that converts attention into action? Can you write an API that connects systems? Can you secure a weak application? Can you create a tool that makes someone's life easier or a business stronger? That is the conversion. Pain becomes focus. Focus becomes skill. Skill becomes utility. Utility becomes proof. Proof becomes leverage. A man can spend years telling himself that he has suffered more than others, but suffering alone does not make him scarce. It can even make him bitter, entitled, and fragile. He starts believing the world owes him recognition because he endured difficulty. But difficulty only becomes power when it produces capacity. The market asks colder questions. Can you save me time? Can you reduce my cost? Can you increase my revenue? Can you remove friction? Can you make my operation clearer? Can you build something that works while I sleep? Can you solve a problem I am already paying attention to? If the answer is no, then your pain has not yet become market value. This is why software development is so useful for the unsupported man. It does not allow him to remain vague. It forces him to ask, what problem am I solving? Who experiences this problem? What does the system do? What does it replace? What does it improve? What result does it create? These questions are brutal because they kill fantasy. A fantasy project exists to protect your identity. A useful project exists to solve a real problem. A fantasy project makes you feel like a developer. A useful project makes someone else's life easier. A fantasy project can live forever on your laptop. A useful project has to face users, bugs, friction, confusion, indifference, and feedback. That is why many men stay in tutorial mode. Tutorials provide controlled progress. The instructor knows the destination. The path is already solved. The errors are usually predictable. The result feels clean. But real projects expose judgment. They expose whether you can decide without being guided. They expose whether you can reduce complexity. They expose whether you can finish something when no one gives you step-by-step instructions. Tutorials can teach tools, but projects reveal power. Law 5 is skill without distribution keeps you poor. A hidden developer remains replaceable. This is where many technically capable men lose. They build in silence, then wonder why nobody notices. They develop skill, but they never learn how to make that skill legible. They improve privately, but their reputation stays empty. They assume hard work speaks for itself, but hard work that is not framed can remain invisible, underpaid or credited to someone louder. Hidden value is often treated as non-existent value. You must distribute proof. Write the case study. Show the before and after. Explain the bug you solved. Post the architecture. Record the demo. Describe the trade-off. Make your thinking visible. Because reputation is not built from skill alone. Reputation is built from skill made legible. A clean project sitting unseen is like a weapon locked in a room nobody knows exists. It may be powerful, but it does not change perception. and perception controls opportunity more than most men want to admit. People cannot recommend what they cannot understand. Clients cannot buy what they cannot see. Employers cannot value what you cannot demonstrate. Collaborators cannot trust what you cannot explain. The market cannot reward a signal you refuse to transmit. This does not mean you become loud, fake, or performative. It means you stop hiding behind the excuse of humility. There is a difference between bragging and documenting. Bragging says, "Look how impressive I am." Documentation says, "Here is the problem, here is the process, here is the decision, here is the result, here is what changed." One repels serious people, the other attracts them. A case study is not vanity. It is evidence arranged for judgment. A demo is not showing off. It is proof made easy to inspect. A public repository is not exposure for the sake of attention. It is a record of execution. A technical breakdown is not content for applause. It is your thinking made visible. This is why the man with no network must learn distribution. He may not have inherited access. He may not have a powerful uncle. He may not have friends in high-status rooms. He may not have a family that knows how to open doors. But if his proof is public, clear, useful, and repeated, it can begin to act as his introduction. Not perfectly, not magically, not overnight, but strategically. Proof does not eliminate the importance of networks. It gives strangers a reason to take the first step toward you. That is leverage. If you're the kind of man who knows he has been hiding behind private effort, stop pretending. Silence is discipline. You already know hidden skill does not build reputation. Your real problem is that your proof is not distributed, not documented, and not easy for the market to understand. If you keep building in silence, you will watch louder men with weaker skill take rooms you could have entered with better evidence. Inside Patreon, you get deeper, unfiltered breakdowns on positioning, proof building, content strategy, personal leverage, and the psychology of visible authority, so you can turn skill into reputation instead of letting it rot unseen. This is not for men who want applause. It is for men who are ready to become legible, useful, and harder to replace. The decision is yours. Law 6 is feedback, replaces validation. Weak men ask, "Do they believe in me?" Builders ask, "Does it work?" This shift is more important than most men understand because validation and feedback train two different identities. Validation protects the ego. Feedback sharpens the weapon. Validation asks, "Am I enough?" Feedback asks, "What failed?" Validation wants comfort. Feedback wants accuracy. Validation depends on someone approving your identity. Feedback depends on reality testing your output. The unsupported man has often spent too much of his life waiting for belief. He wants his family to believe he can win. He wants friends to believe he is serious. He wants society to believe he is more than his current rank. He wants someone to look at his unfinished ambition and confirm that it is real. But belief before evidence is fragile. It disappears when mood changes. It disappears when people doubt again. It disappears when results take longer than expected. It disappears when the room does not clap. Feedback is colder, but it is more loyal. The app crashes, and now you know where the system is weak. The user gets confused, and now you know where the interface is unclear. The page does not convert, and now you know your message lacks force. The automation breaks, and now you know your assumptions were incomplete. The code review hurts, and now you know your standard must rise. Feedback does not care about protecting the version of you that wants to feel special. It attacks what is weak so the work can become stronger. That is why most men avoid it. They say they want improvement, but they hide from the very signals that create improvement. They avoid showing the project because someone might criticize it. They avoid shipping because the result might expose their weakness. They avoid user testing because confusion would feel like rejection. They avoid public proof because public proof can be judged. So they stay in the one place where the ego is safest: private preparation. But private preparation becomes a prison when it never reaches reality. Software development trains you to respect feedback because the system either works or it does not. The compiler does not flatter you. The user does not owe you patience. The market does not reward your intention. The bug does not disappear because your childhood was difficult. Reality is not cruel. Reality is precise. And precision is mercy for the serious man. Once you start treating feedback as intelligence instead of insult, you become dangerous. You stop asking, do they approve of me? You start asking, what does the evidence say? You stop defending your weakness. You start extracting data from it. You stop needing applause before action. You start using correction as fuel. This is the discipline that separates builders from approval seekers. The approval seeker wants the world to confirm his identity before he acts. The builder acts, gathers evidence, adjusts, and lets identity follow proof. Law 7 is proof, creates leverage. Once you have visible proof, you gain options. Jobs, freelance clients, startup ideas, collaborators, credibility, negotiating power, the ability to leave bad rooms, the ability to charge more, the ability to be found, the ability to stop being treated like replaceable labor. Leverage begins when your output makes ignoring you expensive. This is the final reason software development matters for invisible men. It is not just about learning to code. It is about creating assets of credibility. It is about building visible signals that reduce doubt before you enter the room. It is about making your value inspectable enough that strangers can understand what you bring. A man without proof has to ask for chances. A man with proof can negotiate from evidence. A man without proof says, trust me. A man with proof says, look. That difference changes the power dynamic. When you have no proof, people can dismiss you casually. They can say you are just talking. They can say you are not ready. They can say you lack experience. They can keep you in the category where your labor is cheap and your opinion is optional. But when proof accumulates, dismissal becomes harder. A deployed app argues for you. A case study argues for you. A portfolio argues for you. A useful automation argues for you. A series of public breakdowns argues for you. A clean repository argues for you. A product with users argues for you. Your work enters rooms before you do. This is how the unsupported man begins to replace inherited advantage with built advantage. Maybe you did not inherit a network. Build proof that makes strangers curious. Maybe you did not inherit status. Build proof that forces people to revise their assumptions. Maybe you did not inherit confidence. Build proof until confidence becomes a side effect. Maybe you did not inherit permission. Build proof until permission becomes irrelevant. Machiavelli wrote that the only durable defenses are those that depend only on yourself. For the modern unsupported man, your proof is one of those defenses, not your excuses, not your hope, not your need to be seen, your proof. But do not misunderstand this. Proof is not a magic spell. One project will not save you. One repository will not make the market surrender. One app will not erase years of invisibility. Leverage is built through repeated proof, public clarity, useful output, and strategic distribution. The point is not to build once and wait to be discovered. The point is to become the kind of man whose evidence keeps accumulating. That is why the sequence matters. Isolation becomes structure. Structure becomes skill. Skill becomes proof. Proof becomes reputation. Reputation becomes leverage. Leverage becomes freedom. Skip one step and the chain weakens. If you have isolation but no structure, you become bitter. If you have structure but no skill, you become busy. If you have skill but no proof, you remain invisible. If you have proof but no distribution, you remain underpaid. If you have reputation but no leverage, you remain useful to others but powerless for yourself. Each law corrects a weakness. Potential means nothing. Without proof kills fantasy. Code is evidence kills empty talk. Isolation becomes an advantage. Only with structure kills drifting. The market respects utility, not pain kills entitlement. Skill without distribution keeps you. Poor kills hidden competence. Feedback replaces validation, kills approval seeking. Proof creates leverage, kills dependence. This is not motivational language. This is a chain of power. And now the identity must change. Stop calling yourself unsupported as if it is only a wound. Unsupported means unowned. No one built you. Good. Then no one gets to claim your rise. But you must stop using abandonment as emotional permission to remain invisible. No one is coming. That does not mean you are doomed. It means the scoreboard is honest. You either build proof or you remain potential. You either publish evidence or you stay easy to doubt. You either become useful, visible, and hard to replace, or you spend another year explaining yourself to people who are waiting for results anyway. The old identity says, I need someone to believe in me before I begin. Kill it. The new identity says, I build evidence until belief becomes irrelevant. The old identity says, I am misunderstood. The new identity says, then I will make my value measurable. The old identity says, I have no network. The new identity says, then my proof will become my introduction. The old identity says, I am behind. The new identity says, then I will stop wasting time protecting my ego. This is the shift. You are not trying to become a man who codes. You are becoming a man whose work cannot be dismissed. Software development is simply the arena. Proof is the weapon. Leverage is the reward. Self-command is the price. Now the deeper question is this. What should an unsupported man actually build first? Because not every project creates leverage. Some projects only prove that you followed a tutorial. Some portfolios look clean but reveal no judgment. Some apps show effort but solve no real problem. Some repositories show activity but not competence. Some tools look impressive to beginners but meaningless to the market. The next level is not learning more. The next level is choosing projects that create visible authority. A useful first project should do more than say, I can code. It should say, I can identify friction, design a solution, make trade-offs, ship the system, explain the result, and improve through feedback. That is why copied tutorial projects are weak-proof. They may help you learn, but they do not prove judgment. They prove you can follow a path someone else already cleared. You need projects that expose decision-making. Build an automation that saves a specific type of person time. Build a dashboard that turns messy information into clear decisions. Build a website that helps a small business explain, capture, or convert demand. Build a tool that removes a repetitive task from your own life and document the before and after. Build an API connection that makes two systems communicate. Build a case study around a real problem, even if the first client is yourself. The project does not need to be grand. It needs to be useful. It needs to be finished. It needs to be deployed. It needs to be documented. It needs to show the problem, the process, the trade-offs, the result, and the lesson. This is how you stop being another man who says he is learning. You become the man who can point to proof. And once you have proof, repeat the cycle. Do not worship the first project. Use it as a blade to cut through fantasy. Build, ship, document, publish, get feedback, improve, build again. Over time, your public evidence begins to do what your private explanations never could. It gives people something to judge. It gives the market something to test. It gives opportunities a reason to approach. It gives your confidence a foundation that does not depend on mood. You do not need everyone to believe. You need enough proof that disbelief becomes expensive. So here is the command. Build one useful thing, not a fantasy project, not another copied tutorial, not something you hide on your laptop. Build one useful thing that solves one visible problem. Deploy it, document it, publish the proof, explain the trade-offs, show the result. Then do it again. Because the world may ignore your pain, it may doubt your ambition, it may misunderstand your silence. But it becomes much harder to dismiss a man whose proof keeps accumulating. The unsupported man does not need belief first. He needs proof first. Software development gives him one of the rare battlefields where isolation can become skill, skill can become evidence, and evidence can become leverage. But the final question is more dangerous. What are you going to build when no one is watching, no one is clapping, and no one is coming to rescue your identity from the evidence? Because the wrong project only proves you followed instructions. The right project proves judgment. Stop explaining your ambition. Stop waiting for permission. Stop confusing private pain with public value. Stop protecting the identity of a man you have not yet proven. Build one useful thing. Publish the proof. Let the market respond louder than your doubters. No support, no permission, no excuses. Ship the proof.